Hi everyone, my name is Kelly and I'm a dietetic intern at the Community Health Resource Center here in San Francisco. As we try our best to make less trips to markets and grocery stores, we are increasing our consumption of shelf-stable items and canned foods. I wanted to provide a little information on reading labels and what to look for while reading them. Step 1. Serving sizes. We want to start by looking at the serving size of the container. In this section of the nutrition label, we can find serving size and the number of servings in the container. The servings per container tells you how many recommended servings are in the entire can or package. And the serving size on the second row will tell you the recommended size for one serving. It can be helpful to compare your portion size, the amount that you actually eat, to the serving size listed on the panel. The nutrition facts apply to the serving size. So if the serving size is 1 cup and you eat 2 cups, then you're getting twice the amount of calories, fat, and other nutrients on the label. Step 2 is to check the calories per serving. You'll want to find out how many calories are in a single serving. In this example, the orange arrow indicates the calories. The amount should be a larger font and bolded. This will help to indicate the item's caloric density, which refers to the number of calories per weight of the item. A food is caloric dense, meaning it has more energy than nutrients if it provides 250 or more calories per serving. For people that need to watch calories to maintain or lose weight or even gain, they need to be mindful of the servings they're consuming. Everyone has a calorie budget, we'll call it. The most commonly heard of calorie budget is 2,000 calories, although it is very important to note that everyone's calorie needs differ based on the individual. But just for an example, if someone who is aiming to consume 2,000 or less calories a day, one item that provides 250 calories per serving is high in calories and provides little nutrients. The more items that are consumed that are calorie dense, the less likely you are to stay within this budget. On the contrary, the more often you choose less calorie dense foods, the more likely you are to stay within your calorie budget for the day. Step 3. Let the percent daily values be a guide. Looking at the percent daily values, the column is indicated with the red arrow and the percentages next to the connected red line on the example. The percent daily value on a nutrition label can be used as a tool to quickly decide if an item is high or low in a nutrient, as well as a good source or a poor source of a nutrient. A good rule of thumb when looking at percent daily value is that nutrients that are 5% or less per serving are considered low. Nutrients that we want to aim for a low percent daily value would be saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium. Saturated fat is one of the unhealthy fats, along with trans fats. Saturated fats are most often solid at room temperature and occur naturally in many foods. The majority come from animal sources, including meat and dairy products like milk, cream, and cheese. We also want items we select to be low in sodium. We should aim to consume less than 2,300 milligrams a day. Another good rule of thumb when looking at percent daily value is that 20% or more of a nutrient per serving is considered high. We want to aim high in vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So in summary, if a nutrient is 5% or less, the product is not a good source of that particular nutrient. If a nutrient is 20% or more, it is a good source of that particular nutrient. Now we can better understand these example labels. If we are to look at the percent daily value of each nutrient on the butter label, we can say that butter is a good source of saturated fat, providing 36%, which is more than the 20%, which is our rule of thumb, and a poor source of carbohydrates at 0%, less than 5%, which is our other rule of thumb. But remember, we want to keep our saturated fat intake low, to less than 10% of total calories per day. Now looking at the smoked lentils label, with a quick glance, knowing what we know from steps 1 and 2, we can see that the serving size is 1.5 cups and will provide 190 calories. And looking at the percent daily value, we can see that this item is high in sodium, 19%, and a good source of fiber, 56%, vitamin A, 50%, and iron, 30%. But remember that we want to aim for sodium intake to be below the 5% in daily value. Step 4. Looking for unhealthy fats and added sugars. The fats you should try to avoid are trans fats and saturated fats. When selecting items, choose products with 0 trans fats, also labeled as partially or hydrogenated oils, and choose products with less added sugar. Eating less saturated fat, added sugars and sodium may help reduce your risk of chronic diseases. Saturated and trans fats are linked to increased risk of heart disease. Try to limit saturated fat intake to 12 to 16 grams per day. Eating too much added sugar makes it difficult to meet nutrient needs within your individualized calorie requirements. High levels of sodium can also add up to high blood pressure. The key is to remember to aim for a low percent daily value of these nutrients, and ideally not to have any partially or hydrogenated oils. Step 5. Get enough vitamins, minerals, and fiber. We want to aim for higher amounts of fiber, potassium, vitamin D, calcium, and iron to maintain good health and reduce risk of certain health problems. Choose more fruits and vegetables to get more of these nutrients, and remember to aim for high percent of daily value of these nutrients. Step 6. Ingredients. Foods with more than one ingredient must have an ingredient list on the label. Ingredients are listed in descending order by weight in the product. The largest amounts are listed first. The shorter the list, the less processed the product is. These are the type of items that we want to look for. Items we don't want to see in our ingredient list are partially or hydrogenated oils, another name for trans fats. If those names are in the ingredients list but not in the percent daily value, that means that a serving does not exceed 0.5 grams, but the product still contains trans fats. This is why it is important to read nutrition labels. Step 7. Consider the additional nutrients. This step is important if you have a health condition such as chronic kidney disease or diabetes, just to name some. Those with CKD will need to pay attention to the protein, sodium, potassium, and phosphorus based on their doctor's recommendations. Those with diabetes may want to pay closer attention to carbohydrates and avoid added sugars. The recommendation for added sugar a day for women is 24 grams, which is about 6 teaspoons, and 36 grams for men, which is 9 teaspoons. A useful trick is to divide the total grams of sugar listed on the nutrition label by 4, and that will provide you with the teaspoons of sugar in that product. Looking at the beverage label example, the drink contains 17 grams of sugar in one serving. As we know, the serving size of the tea is 3. So 3 times 17 is 51 grams of sugar in the entire beverage. If we then divide 51 by 4, we get 12 3/4 teaspoons of sugar in one beverage. Just to recap what we've learned so far. Step 1, check the serving sizes. Step 2, look at the calories. Step 3, the percent daily value using 5% as low and 20% as high. Step 4, avoid unhealthy fats like saturated and trans fats, as well as added sugars. Step 5, aim for higher amounts of vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Step 6, check the ingredients list and make sure that there's no partially or hydrogenated oils. And lastly, step 7, check for other nutrients if you need to. Thanks for listening, and I hope these steps are helpful when you go to read nutrition labels on your own. For individualized nutrition counseling and classes, refer to the Community Health Resource Center website at www.chrcsf.org or call 415-923-3155 for further information. Thanks.